Welcome back, everyone. Well, as many of you know, we've been inviting students from all of the area high schools to come in and talk to us about their feelings about what happened in Florida, gun control, and what their generation hopes to accomplish by keeping this dialogue moving. And joining me today is a senior from Saratoga Springs High School. This is Matthew Taylor. Hello, Matthew.
Hello.
Very nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're quite welcome. I've said this many times over the last month. For as tragic as the situation was in Florida, it is so impressive that young adults, you, the youth, are making a stand and giving plenty of us, older adults, the feeling that you're not going to give up, that you have an agenda, and that you want to affect change.
Certainly, we're going to bring change into tragedy into action.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do.
I've got it. Now, let's talk a bit about how you feel about this.
Yeah, I'm angry. I'm upset. Things need to change. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure they change.
All right, let's talk about some of those things. Let's start with what your major is. What are you majoring in?
I'm majoring in political science.
Political science, so you're right in the pocket of wanting to be able to affect change.
Yes.
Do you have plans yet for further education?
Yes, I got accepted into George Washington University.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great school, especially for what you want to pursue.
Yes.
And you'll be right in the heart of the action, as they like to say. So how do you turn that anger into something positive?
Well, like you see, we've walked out. We're planning on marching in D.C. We're raising funds for a bus. And we're really just trying to make sure kids get registered to vote. They know who the candidates are. They can make an effective decision on who represents their values, and really just make sure every kid knows they have a voice and give them every opportunity to share that.
You know, the one thing that I keep hearing from the students and from the parents and the people that are emailing me and whatever is that you make a lot of noise. People who demonstrate, protest, make a lot of noise, and all of a sudden it's on the front pages of the news one day, Matthew, the next day it's gone.
Exactly.
And but there's one thing that's really consistent, I hear it over and over again, is the power of the vote.
Yes, certainly.
How do you feel about that?
I think what we need to do is, marching is important, but we need to translate our marches to the White House into a march to the polls. So what we're doing at our high school is making sure that every student gets registered to vote, making sure they vote, and making sure that even if they can't vote, they can work on a campaign, they can support a candidate that will bring change on these issues. So that's really what we're trying to do.
Have you set up tables at the cafeteria or anything like that to
Yes.
get people to either write to their legislators, their representatives, or to register?
Yep, after the walkout, we had tables set up with information on who everyone's representative was. We had paper, pens, and we had a large number of students who came out and wrote letters about gun control or about what they supported, what they wanted to see change, and making sure that they know that they're going to vote this upcoming November, and they're going to bring change if these lawmakers don't.
How do you feel about protecting the Second Amendment?
I think the Second Amendment is an important amendment, but I think the amendment to, I think our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is more important than the Second Amendment. No one's looking to take anyone's guns away, but when there's military-style weapons on our streets like the AR-15, that's unnecessary. It's killing mass numbers of people. That's what they're designed to do. There's no need for people to have those weapons.
I've got it. What about things like waiting periods or background checks?
I think we need to be aggressive as possible on background checks. I think things like bump stocks need to be banned. And I think we need to take every precaution we have to make sure that people who shouldn't have a gun don't get a gun.
You know, a lot of people will sort of counter that and say, oh, it's not the gun, these people are mentally unstable.
Yeah, and I think mental illness is an important issue, but I think using that, I think them talking about that as an excuse for avoiding the topic of guns, I think it's a part of the problem, but it's not the entire problem, and we need to address it comprehensively.
You know what, just one quick follow-up on that. We're the only country in the world that has this problem, and every country in the world has people that are either mentally ill or unstable or angry and whatever. Why in this country does that part of the conversation elevate above background checks and some of the things that seem very logical, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, and I think the issue of mental illness has always been an issue, but it just seems recently that in the light of people calling for gun control, that's when certain Republicans have been saying, oh, mental illness is more of a problem. It's always been a problem. It hasn't been addressed then, but they're using it to try to distract from the gun part of the problem.
Well, you know what? I've heard it from Republicans and Democrats too. It depends how you feel about the Second Amendment. You know, Matthew, that's what I get. You're raising money. The march in Washington is when?
It's the March for Our Lives. We've teamed up with Saratoga Unites to try to raise money to charter a bus for kids from Saratoga to go down and make sure we continue this movement.
Well, you're certainly going to learn a lot from that. I'll tell you. I've been to some marches in Washington, and the camaraderie and the sense that you're not alone, and you learn things, and you bring things back again. Now, when you come back, you're going to continue, correct?
Yes, we're going to continue the narrative. There is talks about planning some sort of march in Albany on April 20th, which is the anniversary of Columbine.
That's right.
And really just aggressively voter registration, letter writing campaigns, making sure we keep this movement going and not letting it die out.
Oh, Matthew, thank you very much for coming in.
Certainly.
Really appreciate meeting you,
having me.
hearing you. So many people your age are so impressive. And just make sure that you don't give up.
We won't.
Okay,
Thank you.
good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
To see this interview again, you can head to our website, looktvonline.com.